Alright, so before we get into this video, I just want you to guys know the first link down in the description is going to be a link to my Signals chat. So you're going to get 1 month free of Signals. The reason why I did so long for 1 month is because 1 week is not sufficient data to be able to determine if you're profitable or not. So you need to be looking at it on the monthly terms. 1 week, it's okay to be profitable 1 week. It's actually quite normal. Now, can you be profitable with a losing week? Yes. Yes, you can, because you need to be looking at because that's like putting stress on one trade. If you have one losing week and you determine that you're not profitable, it's like, oh, I lost this one trade, so I must not be profitable. Now, this is where things get sketchy. This is what makes a trader a trader. During this losing week, would you accept that you had a losing week and you would go and review all of your trades and you would see, okay, did I follow my plan? Did I do anything? And, I'll get into a couple, once we start breaking down the equity chart, I'll explain what was going through my head when I was taking these trades. But this is what makes a trader a trader. This is what makes a trader consistent. This is a drawdown period for me. This is a very big drawdown period. Now, taking into the consideration is that this was the week of Thanksgiving. This account was only created 3 days ago, like 4 days ago or some shit. So there's only like 2.5 days worth of trading. So that data is very insufficient. So next week is going to be like a full data of my trading week. But pretty much on my personal account this week, I still ended the week or the month in profit. I'm still in profit for the month. But for the week, I am down. It pretty much ate all of my profits, risking 1% on my personal account every single trade. But yeah, so what makes a trader a professional trader or a consistent trader is how they handle those drawdown periods. So what I'm doing personally is this whole weekend, because it is currently Saturday morning at 12:46 a.m. And what I'm going to be doing this entire weekend while the markets are closed, I'm going to be back testing my strategy because I went and reviewed my trades when the market closed. What happened was I reviewed myself and reviewed my week. So the first thing I asked myself was, okay, did I follow my trading plan? Did I revenge trade? Did I do anything like this? What kind of trades were I taking? Were they my high probability setup trades? Were they in line with my strategy? Yes, they were in line with my strategy. Now the next thing I asked myself, okay, was I doubling up my lot size? Did I do anything specific to be able to, create a bigger drawdown than expected? Now, going into the equity chart, I did do that on this account. I didn't do it on my personal because I was using a set stop loss, a set lot size. So with this one, I'll explain why this equity drop right here is very, very steep, and that was a mistake that I made this week on this account personally, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But so that's one thing I needed to work on. Now this third thing is I actually found that I need to open up my take profits. So what that means is I've been leaving a lot of money on the table, and what I mean by that is I have a take profit at 1 to 2, and I'm actually going to open that up to a 1 to 3 take profit, so that equals an overall taking profit at 30 pips, a 1-to-1 rework. If I take off half my position at a 1-to-1, that means I leave another half of my position to roll to the third take profit, which is TP3, which is a 1 to 3 risk reward ratio. That gives me an overall win rate of about 52%. Let's just call it 50% to be generous. Let's say 45% to be generous. I know that it gives me a 50% because I've tested it on every single one of my pairs so far. Out of 100 trades, on each one of my pairs that I trade, I average anywhere from like a 48%. The lowest I got was a 47% win rate. So 47% to the highest I think I got was like a 70% win rate, but that could have just been the market conditions. But anyways, that's a really good win rate. That's about a 20% edge over the market on every single pair that I trade. So that's really, really good. Now, so I found out that I was executing perfectly. I wouldn't say perfectly, but I was doing everything I needed to do, especially on my personal. I didn't make any mental mistakes. I did up my lot size on this account, but I upped it to match my personal account of 0.05 lots. But yeah, that's kind of what makes a trader is how are they able to handle their drawdown periods. Now, I had a drawdown period for the week of Thanksgiving, and that was because Black Friday ended up hitting, and that's where this big equity drop right here. This was actually midnight on Thursday night when Black Friday hit, and I kind of expected a lot of movement, and what happened was there was a lot of volatility in the market. I just should not have been in the market at the time. I shouldn't even have been trading this whole week. But anyways, with that out of the way, what we're going to do to start off here is, so this is the free trial account. I created this 3 days ago. Yeah, so I created this account 3 days ago, the 24th of November. So it is now the 27th. So pretty much this account only was able to be traded on Wednesday night and Thursday night. So pretty much 2 days worth of trading. So this data is very insufficient because that's not 1 week's worth of data. So I cannot, it can't be averaged out or anything. This data cannot be reliable because it is not 1 week's full of data. It's just 2 days of trading. Now, in those 2 days of trading, I ended up taking 134 trades, which is quite a bit. But if you guys haven't seen the video watching how I trade, make sure you go check that out. There will be a link in the description. So as you can see, when we loaded up this account on Wednesday night, the first couple trades I took, pretty much as you can see, like there's not a whole lot to explain here, is I was pretty much break even. I would win a couple trades and then I'd lose a couple trades. I'd win a couple trades. It was pretty much just break even. Now, the most interesting part on this graph is, although I lost a little more than 2%, like 2.1% this week, it's not a big deal. I'll be able to make it up next week. It's literally not a big deal. But anyways, we can see that this huge equity drop-off right here. Now, this is not normal. This is not, even with a drawdown, this is not what your drawdown period should look like. This is not even what my drawdown period is supposed to look like with a, with my strategy. What actually happened here is, with these trades that I was taking here, I was using a 0.02 lot size. So 0.02 lot size on each individual trade I was executing. That is not a lot of, that's not a lot. That's like literally the second to last smallest size you can use. And then what ended up happening was I literally doubled my lot size to 0.05 because what happened was I was like, oh, I'm not making any money. I wanted to get into profit on this account before the week ended. So what I did was I got into a mindset where I was like, oh, this is going to work out. I got super confident because things were looking good. My equity was super high. I had a bunch of trades that were in profit and I was doing really, really good. I think that I'm a god at trading, or I think I'm doing really good. And then what happens is, with that doubled lot size, I literally just get smacked. The market will humble me. And what happens is that's what put me down 2%. I could have ended this week break even on this account, but since I doubled my lot size on Thursday night, and it was really bad because Thursday night was Thanksgiving night, so we had a bank holiday on the USD pairs, so there was no volume there, and so what happened was I doubled my lot size, and that's pretty much how I lost my 2%. So next week when I do the video, of next week's breakdown at the end of the week, we're going to get a more realistic data set. So I mean, like, there's not going to be any super special events happening. Literally non-farm payrolls happening next week, but we're not going to have like Thanksgiving or Christmas or Easter or any big holiday or anything. So next week should be a pretty normal week. I'll also have a full week's worth of data on this account instead of just 2 days, so the data will be more reliable. Now, next week, what I'm expecting is, this week, I followed my rules pretty damn well. I didn't, I bended my rules once, doubling my lot size, but that was the only thing that I messed up on, and now I know that going into next week, so I'm going to lower my lot size, start out small, and I'm going to build myself back out of this hole that I'm in. But next week should be a good week, just because everything's going to be pretty back to normal, but I'm not too scared about this account. I'm only down 2%. I can overall lose 10%, but only can lose 5% on a day, and it took me 2 days to lose 5% of the account, it only took me 2 days to lose 2% of the account, so I'm not really worried about it. I know I'll be able to dig myself out, but what I'm going to do this weekend to keep my confidence level up in myself and my strategy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to backtest the fuck out of every single one of my pairs, and it also gives me something to do, and I'm just going to backtest on the weekend, and what that's going to do is it'll build up my confidence again. I'll be able to keep continuing to execute next weekend without any second thoughts in my head, without any doubts. It'll help my patience, and it'll overall just make me a better trader because I'm confident in my strategy. Now, I'm just very confident that this is my drawdown period. I'm still profitable on the month, so I don't really care on my personal. As you can see on the screen right here, right now, I'm still profitable on the month, but I am down on this week. I ended up making 23% on my personal last week, but I ended up losing, I think it was like 22%, like 20 or 22% this week. Now, that's quite a lot, but that's also, you know, taking into consideration it was Thanksgiving, USD had a bank holiday, Black Friday. It was just a really bad week to be in the market, and I shouldn't have been trading, but that's what happened. But anyway, that's enough of that. So we kind of explained the chart, but within the 2 days, here are the numbers. So within the past 2 days on this account specifically, so when I start trading on Sunday, after that I'll be able to lose $500 on the account every single day. So I can only lose up to 781, so which is pretty much like 7%, 7.9% or something like that of the account. So that's how much I can lose overall until I lose the challenge. Today's profit, I pretty much only made like $5 because I closed my trades before the market closed, because that's how I trade. I don't like to have that extra risk of the spreads being manipulated at market open and market close, because I found that if I hold trades over the weekend, spreads get manipulated very, very highly, and usually I'll just get stopped out of a bunch of my trades. And I don't really like taking on that additional risk, so I'll usually close my trades before the market closes on Friday. So you can see that, you know, minimum of 5 trading days. I literally only had 3 days, like, you know, 3 days out of the week I took trades on the account. This is not reliable data for a whole week of trading, because, you know, I only have 3 days. So off of this data right here, you can't determine if I'm successful or not. You have to have at least a week, and then after a week, you have to have at least a month. Once you can be profitable for your first month, what I found is once you're profitable for your first week, usually you can push that on to your next week, unless there's a special circumstance, kind of like what we had this week. But usually if you're profitable one week and you do the same thing the next week, usually you're going to be profitable. That's what I personally found. I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, if you make 20% one week, you're going to make 20% the next week. That's not how it works. Like, you can make 20% one week and then 3% the next week, and then 5% and then 50%, or however, you know, like 10%. Honestly, you hear like, oh, 10%, 10% is kind of realistic to shoot for. Yes, that's pretty realistic, but also that's lowballing it, like really, really lowballing it, especially if you have 1 to 500 leverage and you know what you're doing. You can really use that leverage to work for you. And, you know, that's how you see all of these traders being able to blow up accounts or make crazy percentage returns. It's because they're actually risking 1% on every trade. Doing their risk management is perfected. It's spot on, like how it should be. But the leverage allows them to take more trades, and more trades equals more money. So, you know, they're just able to execute and have that ability, because they have that knowledge and comfortability in their own strategy. So, you know, they just have that confidence, and kind of that's what I do. That's why I lost, you know, it seems like a lot, but I had, I made 23%, and then I lost like 20% this week. So it's not a big deal. I'm still up like 3% on the month, so I'm not worried about it. But anyways, yeah, like 3 days of trading data. So that's, you know, I'm just running through the numbers, but this is very unreliable data. Yeah, so we have 3 days worth of trading data. Within those 3 days, I ended up losing $233 on one day. So my max daily loss right here, you can see that I reached about half of that, which is, you know, about 2.5%, which is $250. But, you know, we got pretty close to that. But I'm still passing that restriction. I haven't gone past it or anything. My max loss, same thing, down pretty much like 2.5%, not a big deal. And overall the account is down $218, which is, you know, like I said, not a big deal. Like, I'll literally make that shit back real easy next week, like, especially if next week is going to be a really good week. You know, there's going to be no bank holidays, there's going to be volume. What I noticed this week with the market close is that, you know, trends are reversing. So if we're starting a new trend this upcoming week, that means this week is going to kill it. So I'll be able to capitalize on that new daily trend that's happening. And this week I should be able to just fucking kill it, because of that volume is gonna, that's usually what happens with my strategy, is when you break a daily level, that volume gets pushed really good if it's going to trend. And pretty much all the pairs were doing that. So it looks like this upcoming week is, you know, I'm prepared for it. I'm ready. And what I've done is, you know, like I said, I back tested. So for the past day, ever since the market has closed, I've been kind of in my own head thinking about what I could be doing better, you know, what happened this week, why I was down. And so what I kind of came to the conclusion was, what I want to do to be able to minimize that loss that I had was, although it was 3 days, but on my personal, you know, I traded all week and I took a pretty hefty blow. to minimize that, what I want to do is I want to open up my take profits, because I'm leaving a lot of bread on the table, and I want to increase my overall risk to reward ratio. Because trading in the financial market, it's not about win rate. It's really not. I've come to that conclusion. It's all about risk to reward ratios, and a lot of people, the reason why 95% of traders fail is because they're not able to let their winners run. They take two profits early, and what happens is that skews down their risk to reward ratio. And even though they can have like a 55% win rate but a 1.5 risk to reward ratio, and they're still not profitable, you know, they'll break even on some weeks, but they're just not profitable. Like, kind of like what was happening to me. I had an overall 1.5 risk to reward ratio, but I was averaging like a 60% win rate. Now I'm slightly profitable, but what would happen was I would have kind of a pretty much a break even week like I did this week. Now, although I'm down 2.5%, that's literally not a big deal. Like, I'll fucking make that back in like a day or two. But, you know, you'll have pretty much a break-even week, and then you'll have a big week, and then maybe a small week, and another break-even. You know, it just kind of break-evens, and then it just isn't overall looks good. So my thought process was, if I open up my second take profit to take profit 3, which is a 1 to 3, or take profit 2, which is a 1 to 3 risk to reward ratio, my thought process was, okay, well, that will increase my overall risk to reward ratio to a 1 to 2. I'm averaging about a 50% win rate with that. So if we kind of do this, so right here is a trade return calculator. So when I get my statistics every week, I like to plug my statistics into this calculator to get a visual representation of what I can expect on my equity curve. So let's say we start out with $200, right? Because a lot of people, they have smaller accounts. For me, I trade with like $3,000. That's pretty decent. You know, I can pretty much survive off of that. Not really live, but, you know, I can survive. So typical risk, let's say we're risking 1%, right? And we have a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio. Fuck it, instead of 50%, let's say 45 to be generous to the losing side. Bam, a 63% return over the course of 100 trades. That's crazy. I took 126 trades in 1 week. So over the course of 100 trades, you have a 45% return with an overall 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio. This is trading right here, and 10% is lowballing it, guys. Like, if you're doing everything correctly with high leverage, you know, this is how you maximize leverage. Like, this is how you use it to your favor. Your risk percentage is on point. You have a very good strategy. Like, you know, you have an overall risk reward ratio of 1 to 2, and this is a 45% win rate. This is being generous to the losing side. Let's look and see what we have with a 50% win rate, which is another 5%. You make 40% in one probability, 78% on another probability, 36. You can see that that's just crazy returns. And this, honestly, over the long period of time, over the almost 3 years I've been trading, for me, with the way that I trade, this is honestly lowballing it. This is kind of realistic to what I can expect, especially if I'm executing every single setup I see throughout the week. If I'm really disciplined throughout the week, I can expect a 20 to 30% return every week. Unlike this week, sometimes you'll have like break-even weeks, but like I said, like 2%, like pretty much what that equated to was about 20% loss on my personal. But if I made 23% 1 week and I was half-assing it that week and only traded like two days seriously, this past week I traded every single day on my personal account and I lost 20%. So if I'm on a good week, instead of just half-assing it, because that week that I made 23%, I kind of half-assed it. Like, I didn't trade a whole lot. I was only in the market like 2 days where I actually paid attention to the trades. So this next week, you know, things are just lining up. Everything looks really good. And, you know, these are the returns that I can expect personally with my strategy, with my probabilities playing out. You know, a 20 to 30% return over the course of 100 trades. That's really fucking good. But anyways, like I said, this data is very skewed. You know, I've only been trading for 3 days on this account, so this data is invalid. So you can see that on one day, there was a total of pretty much 3.06 lot sizes traded, which equated to a $225 loss, which is pretty much 2.5%. You can see the average profit is literally about it's a 1.25% return. Risk reward ratio. Now, that was because this week I wasn't using a 1 to 3 take profit 2. I was using a 1 to 2 take profit 2. So, you know, because I wanted to have a higher win rate, I wanted to be able to have my position, my winners closed, and that's why I had the week that I did, was because this was a bad week in terms of the market conditions and trading. I did everything correctly. This was just a bad week in terms of market conditions because, like I said, it was Thanksgiving week. USD was on a bank holiday. All of these currencies are very driven off of the US dollar. So if the US dollar doesn't have a whole lot of volume, and the spreads are being very, very manipulated, this week was just overall a terrible week to trade. And so that I came to the conclusion, that's how I came to the conclusion to up my take profits to a 1 to 3 take profit, because although it will diminish my win rate, it'll overall, over the long term, it'll increase my profitability, and I'll be able to minimize the loss that I took, especially after this week. That's what happens with trading, is like, one week you'll do really good, another week you do really good, the third week you do really good, and then you'll have a setback, you'll have a drawdown period. And a lot of traders, what they'll do is they'll look at it and they'll think that, oh, this strategy doesn't work anymore, I need to change my strategy, or whatever the fuck the case may be. For me, though, the way that I look at it and how I've been able to maintain my profitability is I understand that this is going to happen. This is happening to me for a reason, and you guys need to look at it like that. You need to visually see your results like I do here. Like, you don't have to trade live with an Ftmo, but if you're using like Eagles FX or Hugo's Way, they don't have a Metrix. They don't track your trades. And I take a lot of trades that I don't really want to track them through my forex book, right? That's why I use Ftmo, to visually like see my results that are happening so I can make adjustments. Now, I highly recommend that, and that's how I've been able to come to the conclusion to open up my second take profit to a 1 to 3, because what'll happen is it's been back tested, and it's been a thought that's been in my head for the past couple months. But it'll minimize my losing weeks. If not, it'll delete my losing weeks overall, so I'll be profitable every week, or at the very least break even, instead of having like 3-4 good weeks in a row and then taking a hit of 2.5% like I did this week. But yeah, that was kind of my thought process. This data really isn't the best to go over right now, just because it's not valid in terms of a whole week's worth of trading, which usually I need at least a whole week's worth of trading for my trades to be valid, or for my data to be valid for me. But I don't look at things in terms of the week, right? Because you don't pay bills weekly. So you don't pay your Hulu membership weekly. You don't pay your car insurance weekly. Your car payments, you don't pay weekly. They're all monthly, right? So for a swing trader, you want to look at things on the monthly. You want to pay attention to the weekly outlook of things and how you're doing on the weekly, because you want to shoot for like a 2.5 to 5% return every week, but that's honestly lowballing it. But yeah, that was pretty much. This data is very invalid at the moment. This upcoming week is going to be more realistic data. I'm expecting to pull myself out of this slump that I'm in. It taught me a lot of things. I made a couple adjustments to my rules, not the way that I look at my strategy, not the way that I look at the market, not the way that I enter the market for my rules to enter. It's just I'm letting my trades, letting my winners run longer instead of cutting them too early, because what is happening is I'm just taking too much money off the table, and I can minimize my losses that way if I just let my winners run a little bit longer. But I'm just going to have to sacrifice being patient more, and to sacrifice wanting to cut my winners early. So that's the conclusions I've come to with just this little bit of data. But anyways, that's kind of been the video, guys. Like, there's really nothing special to go over. This week was kind of shitty. But yeah, I just kind of want to start showing you guys every week of my weekly breakdowns, because honestly, like, a lot of these forex gurus out there, they don't really show their metrics. There's a couple of them that do, and I respect that, but they don't give weekly breakdowns. Like, they don't ever talk about their losing weeks or their really shitty weeks. Like, it sets off a different mindset, and I got trapped in that mindset. Is like, my expectations were not where they should have been. Like, I saw all these people with like Lamborghinis and nice things, and that said they were trading forex, and they never really talked about the bad times or how they're handling the bad times or anything. Like, they're just kind of shoving it down your throat a little bit, how I felt, and I just kind of wanted to bring a different type of vibe to the scene, and I wanted to actually show my results. And I'm no special guru or anything. Like, I'm no financial advisor or anything. Like, I'm just somebody who has been starting to reach consistency for the past couple months, and it's been pretty nice. I'm looking to expand myself to find some investors with some capital. I have a couple months worth of my data saved up, and I've been profitable over the past 2 months in terms of data wise and percentage returns. And I'm looking to expand myself, so that's going to be a new project that I'm working on. But yeah, pretty much that's it. These are the results for the past week. Pretty boring shit. Anyways, I don't know what to say other than that. Besides, I'm gonna see you guys in the next video after another week of fucking data. So yeah, later.